What is going on, everyone? AP over here at Run Pure Sports, bringing to you once again with the Lineup Builder Show. I'm here with my guy. We got Snyder in here. Snyder, we're getting towards the end. Only a few events left, obviously, until the swing season. What's going on, my man? How are you doing this week?
Yeah, looking to close the playoffs well. Hopefully, better than last week. I had a lot of good options last week, but I played Rory last week, and he finished DFL, I think, and
same here.
There, so that was rough.
My lineup was so good there for a little bit too. Obviously, I didn't have our boy Hideki. I loved Hideki last week too. Like, I absolutely loved him, and I late registered, and I only ran one lineup, so I had to take some stands, and Rory was not the right stand, to put it lightly.
That was rough. Back this week, though, I think we got a good setup here with this 50-man field. Some nice cheapies down low, and some a few ways you can approach the top tier, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's some really, really interesting routes that we can go. We're gonna dial that in using SaberSim right there. That's what we have pulled up. We're gonna go tier by tier. And it's going to be interesting. 50-man field, a new track. Haven't played this track since 2006, I believe. And on that note, Snyder, let's just go right back to you. Talk to us about the course this week at the BMW Championship.
Yeah, we're in Colorado this week for the second leg of the playoffs with only 50 golfers in this no-cut event. They'll be at Castle Pines this week, which is a par 72. Let's get a measure, 8,130 yards, but we'll actually play at around 7,200 yards once you figure in the elevation difference, which is 400-plus foot of elevation over this property. This Nicklaus design will feature 10 holes with water in play, and 8 of the greens will have water in play up to them, so it'll be interesting to see what that brings into play here. The greens here are going to measure right around 5,600 square feet on average, and are going to be rolling really fast this week. They'll be rolling at around 13 on the step meter. There will be not as many drivers here in play here as you would think with how the course sets up with some dog legs and such. This is a pure ball striker's paradise, so I think we should see a lot of low scores this week as well. I think the winning score could approach 25 under, in my opinion, as well. The fairways here are generous at times, up to 30 yards wide at times. But the rough looks to be playing tough this week. It's quoted at being 4 inches plus, as this mixture of blue rye and fescue could gobble up some balls if you miss the fairway. Too bad, and find some tough lies. But some key stats to be looking at this week: strokes gained approach, birdies are better percentage, total driving, proximity 125 to 175, opportunities gained, and then putting with an emphasis on bentgrass and POA.
Yeah, very good. Great breakdown. If you want to see the course and kind of it in action, I believe there's a YouTube show, golf show, good. And they had Wyndham Clark, our boy Wyndham Clark out there. Get on the YouTube channel and go search that up if you want a little bit better of a look at this track. I believe so. Could be wrong, but I believe I read that a couple places. So I don't necessarily think I'm wrong. Let's get into it, Snyder, though, because I want to, if you're watching me, I just added the flagship contest sim. Our ownership this week, so the only thing I did here is we're using Saber's projections, but I'm using RPS ownership. I think our ownership projections just kind of a little bit more spread out, which usually we not like Scotty probably higher. Like there's definitely some things here that need to be adjusted, but I saw some really low ownership on a few guys like Tony Finau and others like sub 5%. And I really want to see how this looks with kind of, spread out ownership. So that was the adjustment I made. We go tier by tier. Let's start with the studs. Pretty big range, 10K and up. Ludwig up to Scotty Scheffler. Snyder, what are you doing with the top tier range this weekend? I hope you don't. I hope neither of us bring up Rory. That was painful. Sure, he could bounce back, but he looked terrible. Like, he looked absolutely atrocious. So what are you doing with the top range?
Yeah, last week was just absolutely horrible from him from all metrics. I think it was one of his worst driving performances of his career, and just all around was just a horrible outing from him. I don't think I'm going to go to him this week. I'm just going to stick with my guys up top, Scotty and Xander. I mean, these two could both just absolutely go nuclear at this place with it being such a ball striker's paradise. The putter's been coming around for Xander's been putting great recently. So I think Xander, that's the only metric that really has Xander kind of pushing ahead of Scotty for like the strokes gained total metric and such. Has been the putter has kind of elevated him over Scotty. Scotty still has the advantage over him, the approach wise, but I think both of those guys are just elite options up top. If you can fit them in, which I think you can fit these guys in relatively easy this week with the guys with the nice values we have down low this week. So yeah, those two. Obviously, Hideki kind of backing it up, but I mean, he played great at the Olympics, was third there, and backed it up with a win. Hard to see him backing it up again. But I guess if you want to go there, I can't say anything bad about it. Vic finally kind of got things in play last week. He's a great ball striker. I think he's a great option up here. My guy Morikawa, I think I'm going to go back to him 10-1. I think he's a great starting point too. Just a great ball striker's paradise guy. And there's some course comps to Shadow Ridge here, which you played earlier this summer. But Morikawa is a guy out there. I think this is interesting with some of the elevation. It kind of plays similar to what Shadow Ridge does that I was hearing on Twitter and such and a few other places around the industry. So I like Morikawa to kind of get it going. He struggled with the approach last week, but the putter has been great. Anywhere in the States, he kind of struggled overseas there at the Olympics and at the Open putting, but stateside, he's been putting great. And if he can keep that putter going and kind of get the approach game back in order, I think Morikawa is a guy that could be there on the final page of the leaderboard Sunday. And I'm going to be off Ludwig. I think Ludwig's just starting to kind of get tired. He's been playing a ton of golf over the last year and a half. So I think Ludwig, and this is a tough walk as well with the elevation. So I think Ludwig's just kind of wearing down, and I'll be off Ludwig. But I think the two guys up top are elite options. And then Morikawa would be my other favorite in this range at the bottom of it.
Yeah, very nice breakdown there. For me, I think the top two guys really have a lot of separation between everyone else in this group. It's Xander, it's Scotty. I mean, if you're Scotty right now, you had such a commanding lead coming into the playoffs. Obviously, he still has one. But, I mean, you start to let these wins slip. And, people start to, if Hideki wins again this week, I mean, man, I don't have the points up in front of me, I don't necessarily know what he needs to hit it, but I know that they pile up in a hurry. So Scotty has to be determined, obviously, to win. Looked great last week. I think this is a ball striker's paradise, as you said, and then Xander. I just think those two create, have so much separation as far as talent, how they're playing, form, whatever you want to call it, whatever stat profile you want to look at, compared to everyone else in this upper tier. And then the others from with what we're trying to do on the show, add in some bias. When I look at this tier, it's like, so Rory all the way down to Ludwig, it's who do I want to pop the most from a projection standpoint? I want them all to be relatively somewhat close in line, especially if you're mixing and matching. But I'm with you. Collin Morikawa, just ball striker. We talked about him. I feel like with what people saw in Hovland, at least according to Discord, and then just if you look around, I mean, if Hovland's going to get any type of ownership at this price tag this week, I struggle to click that name with how bad he's been. Yes, he looked good last week, but prior to that, not good at all. I mean, I'd probably rather go to Hideki, honestly. Like, we've seen what happens in these playoffs. People, keep the gas down, foot on the pedal. So, like, for me, I want Morikawa, Hideki over Hovland. Doesn't mean I'm getting rid of Hovland or fading him. I just want, from a projection standpoint, those two to pop just a little bit more. And then I want this upper tier, Xander, Scotty, really, really, really to be significantly higher than everyone else. So we got to give Scotty just a little bit more love there. Looking at this value standpoint. Yep. I like that. Let's keep this going. Right back to you, 9K range. Speaking of ball strikers, we got two down here in Sung Jae and Russell Henley, then all the way up to Patrick Cantlay. What are you doing with the 9Ks this week?
Yeah, I think I may actually get on to Cantlay. I've kind of been watching him a little bit. I played him a couple of times recently. It's been fine. I mean, his game is kind of trending back upward. The ball strike has been great for 4 weeks in a row now, and the putter's been good stateside. The last 3 events he's played, the last 2 events he's played stateside, I guess. The Travelers, he gained over 5 strokes putting, and then last week gained 1.6 strokes putting. The ball striking's been great. I think he's a guy that can kind of sneak up in these playoffs and kind of catch everybody kind of sleeping here. So I do like Cantlay at 9,800. I think this course is set up well for him. And he's a guy that kind of flourishes in these playoff type events we've seen over the past. So I kind of like him at 9,800 would be a guy I'm looking at. Fleetwood, 9,600 is a solid option. Price tag is up there a little bit. I thought Sammy Burns was actually going to be in contention to actually win the event last week, but he kind of made some mistakes down the stretch there. Found the water once, which kind of ruined his chances. Finished T5 last week. We're away from the Bermuda this week, back on Bent and Poe. I generally like to play Burnsy more so on the Bermuda surfaces, but I think he's a fine option if you want to go there. And then the guys at the bottom of this range, I think Henley is a great cash option. I know he didn't play the best last week, but I think he's a relatively very safe option down here. I think Wyndham's going to get some steam. I think he will be one of the more popular guys in this range, I think, as ownership kind of turns out over the next couple of days. So I think Wyndham's going to be a popular option here, and Henley might be a good pivot to him right there with just as much upside, I think.
Yeah, great breakdown. Cantlay for me obviously really stands out. And then it's really going down to this bottom trio: Wyndham Clark, Russell Henley, maybe a little bit of Sung Jae Im. Wyndham, look, I played him overseas at the Olympics. He rallied. He was terrible round 1, and then he rallied for us. He's looked good ever since. Maybe found something. T7 last week. Man, played this course. I don't know if you can call at least he's had some familiar, he's somewhat familiar with it since he played it with those guys, but I don't know how much stock you could put into that. It's more so I've liked what I've seen from Henley of late. And especially if you're comparing him to some of these others up here. I mean, we know when you think about ball striker type of courses, he put on a ball striking clinic at LACC, obviously to win his first major. So he can definitely get it done. And so I really like Wyndham down here, even if he's going to be a little bit of chalk. I like Russell Henley as well. Billy Horschel's been playing great golf. Yeah. I played the Sam Burns call last week was awesome. That's what salvaged a little bit for me last week. I thought he was going to get it done. He didn't. That for me was his chance. I don't know if I can go back to him. Tommy Fleetwood, I can't do it. If you want, what do we always say? If you want T25 or T27. Hey, there we go. Robert, Wyndham Clark played this course around 30 times. Great information there. Despite that, though, I still like Wyndham. I like what I'm seeing. So that just, if anything, kind of adds to it for me. I love his price tag, 9,200. I think out of this range, outside of Cantlay, I think he's the next best guy, in my opinion. The other guy, too, that Saber had his ownership projection really low, Tony Finau. When you think if he can get off the tee, so that's the problem, finding fairways. If he finds fairways this week, this dude is up there, ranked second tee to green, second on approach over the last 24 rounds. From a ball striking standpoint, if he gets off the tee, he's right there. He's right there in the mix. So if he's going to be lower owned, now our ownership projection is a little bit more conservative there. We got Tommy Fleetwood and Russell Henley much lower owned. But if Saber's right and if Finau is single digits, then I think he's a really interesting play. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a bump. I'm not doing much with Tommy Fleetwood. I'm not doing much with Sammy Burns. I honestly don't think I can get back to Burns. Has been playing better golf, but man, it feels like he gets going and then he always has one round that kind of lets me down. So I can't get back to him, but I really like Wyndham Clark. I really like Patrick Cantlay in this range. Let me just see Cantlay's. Yeah, we got a nice projection on him. So let's get this down because I really want to get to the builds, run the simulations, run the contest sims. I'm really curious to see what the show build looks like this week. I think it's going to be interesting. Obviously, 50-man field. We got to find a way to get different. So maybe that's going to happen down here. My boy Justin Thomas is down here, but I don't know if I can get to him. AKA range, Corey Connors, all the way down to Bizet. Now, what are we doing with the AKs, Snyder?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say anything bad about how Aaron Rye's been playing, too. You look at the guy has been hitting almost 80%. He's almost been hitting 80% of his greens in regulation over the last 36 rounds, which is pretty absurd. He's hitting fairways at about 74%, too. So, I mean, he's been one of those guys, tee to green, that's just been absolutely crushing it. Isn't the longest off the tee, but I really don't think distance is that much in play here this week with the way the elevation is and such. So I'm not worried about that with Aaron Rye. I mean, the putter's been kind of heating up for him as well, too. So I think Aaron Rye is a strong option. And then Adam Scott is another guy that I'm really high on this week in this range. I think his game's kind of trending upwards. I haven't really heard much about him. I think his ownership will be right around 10% or single digits, kind of like we have him right there. I mean, he's been under the radar playing some great golf, 2nd, 10th, and 18th in his last 3 events.
Do you think he can hang in a birdie fest? Like, that would be my one reservation with a guy like Adam Scott. I tend to play him on, difficult tracks where we're really prioritizing and valuing par. Do you think Scott can hang in a birdie fest? I guess that would be like my one question or reservation clicking his name.
I think he could get to. I gave him the bump. I don't know if he's going to win, but I think he's a guy that could definitely top 10 here for sure. 8,300, that'd be real solid. He made 27 birdies at the Genesis Scottish Open. He made 21 birdies at the Travelers, so he's showing some good birdie upside. Made 16 birdies last week, so I think he can roll the rock there. I mean, the putter's been heating up the last 4 events. The approach has been there. I think Adam Scott is kind of a sneaky option down here. If he makes 20, 25 birdies like he did kind of at the Travelers and at the Scottish, he'll be right there on Sunday. If he can get to, I would take it if he was right there. So I think he's a strong option, 8,300. I'm not going to get today, I don't think. I'm not going to play Cameron Young.
The other, Snyder, the other thing about like Cam Young and Jason Day really struggling off the tee right now. Yeah. There's a lot of water on this course as well. So you really got to find fairways. You really have to have things in line from a ball striking standpoint.
Connor is probably a safe option as well. But, I think Scott and Rye are probably my 2 favorites in this range.
And that's like Justin Thomas. Like, the problem with Justin Thomas is, like, there's little room for error out here. And it's like, I can't see how this guy goes about his business all 4 rounds without a couple double bogeys, or a 4 on the, or like a 4 over on the card. Like, I feel like this course could, oh man. And the putter, what about, all right, so we have really fast greens. You've seen some bad putters do well on fast greens. Look at me trying to talk myself into playing Justin Thomas. I'm just going to leave his projection alone. If he falls in there, the DFS gods, the simulations want me to play some JT. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sit here and talk myself into him, which is what I want to do. But I can't play him over Aaron Rye, 8,600. I'll tell you that. Aaron Rye's been playing really good. And then I can't play him over Corey Connors. Corey Connors, great ball striker. Hopefully these greens are fine. Snyder, this range for me is tricky. It really is. I don't really like Shane Lowry, Jason Day. Bizet now's fine, but in a birdie fest, I don't know. I thought the Adam Scott call is really intriguing, interesting. Cam Young, no. Aaron Rye, yes. Corey Connors, yes. And then the rest of the range, I don't know, man. I don't feel that great.
It's kind of a dead
about
range.
them. So I think what we do is we just kind of leave it alone. We see where it falls. We don't, if we get one of these guys, we get them. But I do worry about Cam Young. So I see the ownership projection there, and he's been a disaster. So let's keep it going, though. Let's get down to the 7K range. Let me bring this. Let's talk about this whole range, at least the guys that you're on. It's not that big of a range in comparison, obviously, to past weeks. But what are you doing with the 7Ks?
Yeah, I think Taylor Pendrith is my favorite guy in this range at 7,300. It's a nice value play, nice. I think. Has shown the birdie upside recently. The last 3 events, he's made 17, 19, and 22 birdies. So he's got the birdie upside. The approach play and the ball striking has been elite over the last 3 or 4 weeks. The putter's been heating up as well. He's gained strokes putting in 7 of his last 8 events. So I think he's a strong option.
Oh, man, that's bad. That's bad. Oh, man. Yeah, keep going.
Taylor Pendrith is probably my favorite option in this range. Yeah. Keegan, you can always play Keegan in tournaments. He isn't really in the greatest of form, but 7K Keegan on a ball striker's paradise where he can get hot. Wouldn't be surprised if he was up there inside the top 15, but I'll probably have a sprinkle of him in tournaments just because for the upside. Noren's been playing solid this year. Bobby Mack is off the top 10 again. He's a guy that just been good. He's just been good. Tee to green, strokes gained total. I mean, the putter's been hot for him. He's inside the top 5 in putting over the last 36 rounds. So Bobby Mack can roll it in there. And Benny On I kind of look at him just as like an upside target, but he just hasn't really had it there. I mean, the driving accuracy has been pretty poor for him, but he can bomb it off the tee, which really isn't going to be that needed here. And then Davis Thompson was a guy I was pretty high on last week. He kind of struggled out of the gates, but played decent over the weekend. Ends up inside the top 35 last week. He finished T33 last week. The putter was just not there for him last week. He lost over a stroke putting 2 of the 4 rounds. 2 of the 4 rounds he putted good. 2 of the 4 rounds were really bad for him, though. So it was kind of boom or bust with him out there. Did find something with the irons, though. He improved with the irons each round and ended up gaining almost 3 strokes approach on the last round for Thompson as he kind of made a little bit of a charge there. But he's been playing some solid golf. He was 12th at the Wyndham, won the John Deere, was 2nd at the Rocket Mortgage. So he's done well on some of these birdie fests where you got to make a lot of birdies. So I think he's fine if you want to go there. But, yeah, my favorite option in this range is definitely going to be Taylor Pendrith at 7,300, though.
Yeah. So Pendrith was the guy that I was starting with. And look, like it fits that, when we're trying to get Scotty and Xander, or at least I'm trying to get Scotty and Xander into my lineups. I kind of like that I don't like the AK range that much because we're going to need cheaper guys. We're going to need guys down in the 7K range to make it work. Pendrith, for me, we didn't talk before the show, Snyder, but he was by far my favorite in this range. Checks a lot of boxes for me on approach. He's good at finding fairways. His putter's absolutely dialed right now. He's shown upside. I think he's too cheap. I think he's a fantastic play. I want to get overweight on him. The other guy I like when we think of ball strikers, my boy, Benny On. I think Benny On's not a lot of people are going to click his name. Definitely, I think a course, if he can find fairways, a course that should fit his eye. He's a tee to green guy. He's an approach guy. Benny On, I'm gonna take a shot on him. I like the Davis Thompson call. I just put him in line with some of these other guys as well. Saber had a nice projection on him too. Well, actually, yeah, we'll give him a little bit more love. Did you have a take on Matt Fitzpatrick? Like, I'm torn. Like, he's just been bad. I feel like from a name standpoint, like the problem with him is he's been so bad with his irons. Like, I don't like. He needs his putter to say it. Like, that's not a good recipe. Like, he kind of falls in that Cam Young bucket for me. Do you have a strong take on him?
Not really. He ranks last in this field in strokes gained approach over the last 36 rounds. And it wouldn't surprise me, but I just don't think I'm going to get there. I know he finished top 20 last week, but I just don't see myself getting to him. I'd rather play Thompson, or I'd rather even play Pendrith over him straight up, I think.
The other guys that I have a ton of interest in are Denny McCarthy. I love how he's playing right now, and he's one of the best putters in the world. If he can just have an average tee to green round of golf, he's going to be right there. He's going to be, right in the mix. And then Brian Harman, Brian Harman, not the longest guy on tour, obviously. We always love playing him at these tracks where you don't need a lot of distance. I haven't heard a lot of people call his name or talk about him this week. I have a ton of interest. 7,200 for Brian Harman. From a tee to green standpoint, he's been awesome. Find some fairways, make some putts. I mean, Brian Harman could definitely be in the mix. So I love the price tag on him. Sepp let me down. I just don't know if it's a set. Sepp always surprises me because he's so good at finding fairways. He really is. And you find fairways, it comes down to tee to green. You obviously approach. The putter has just gone. I mean, the putter's been so bad. And, if we think, what'd you say, 20 under is going to win this week?
Yeah, it could be 20-25, I think, potentially.
If he's put the trend line, last 24 rounds, something I always look at, the trend line is just going way, way down on him. It's not a good sign at all. So I can't, unfortunately, be on my boy Sepp and Keegan. I like the call on Keegan, but I don't know. I mean, if Keegan lands into, I'll be neutral on him. If he lands in a build, he lands in a build. I think it's fine. But really, for me in this range, this trio here of Brian Harman, Taylor Pendrith, Denny McCarthy is kind of a group that I have a ton of interest in. And then my tournament play in this range is Benny On. And then I like the Davis Thompson call as well. Let's go down to the 6Ks. Talk to me about who you're on down here. I'm not going to bring all of them into our player pool. We can't have everyone in the. Obviously, we're going to cut down our player pool. We're not going to play all 50 golfers. It's not how we play at all. But talk to me about the 6Ks. Very, very important week. We got to get the 6Ks right this week, Snyder. We got to get it right.
There's 3 guys that really jump out to me down here. Actually, 4 guys, kind of.
I know one is going to be Gracerman, so yeah. I know you're all over him. So I'm just going to click him in right now.
I think Gracerman is one of the best plays on the slate this week at 6,300. He struggled round 1 last week, coming off of that horrible bad beat where he just blew it the week before. Came out flat round 1, but played better each round. Ends up climbing his way inside the top 35 last week. He's great. The putter's been good for him. He ranks 3rd in the field last 36 rounds putting. He's good off the tee. So I'm going to be on Gracerman. He's hitting greens regulation, top 5 in this field last 36 rounds as well. And then Eric Cole's another guy I'll be looking at, 6,500. I think that's a great price for his upside. He's been playing great. You look at the approach play for him. 5 of the last 6 events, he's gained at least 2 strokes approach, gained over 4 strokes approach at the Wyndham Championship. And the putter has been right there for him. He's gained strokes putting in the last 7 events with some spike weeks of he's gained 5 strokes putting, 3 strokes, 2.6. So he can really get a hot putter. So I think Eric Cole is a strong option down here. His miss has been off the tee a little bit, but I think it's a little more generous here. I think he can kind of club down at times here too. So not too worried about that with him. And then Zalatoris. I think Zalatoris kind of found something. I was listening to an interview with him where he definitely was frustrated with how he's been playing this year. And he's like, the key thing coming into the playoffs was he said he wanted to end the season on his terms this year. So in last week, he played great last week. Finished T12, the best finish he's had since the Masters when he was top 10 there. So it's just been a really bad struggling year for him, but the approach play has been building the last 3 weeks. The putter finally flipped last week, gained 2 strokes putting last week. The off the tee game has kind of been improving the last few weeks as well. So I think Bill Z is a strong option. And then another guy is going to be a guy we've been on here recently, Austin Eckroat. I think he is another cheap, great play, 6,300 for Eckroat. coming off a couple back-to-back strong finishes there. I mean, the putter's been great for him the last 4 events. Gained 4 strokes putting at the Wyndham, 4 strokes putting at the 3M. Gained last week. The approach play has been kind of coming back up. It kind of went down a little bit at the Open Championship in the 3M, but the last 2 weeks, the approach play is back for Eckroat. He's been great off the tee, so I think he's another a strong option. I think those 4 guys are the guys I'm going to get extremely overweight on down here, and hopefully they inside the top 20, and we'll be sitting all right.
The only guy I really want to add is Tom Hoagie, just bought from a ball striking standpoint. I know he has issues with the putter right now, but it's not like a Max Homa situation where Max Homa is just, his game is lost. Like, it just is what it is. It's completely lost right now. Pavon, Poston, I mean, Kirky.
I think Cam Davis is a good upside play down here for 62 if you're looking for like an upside punt. I mean, he's gotten hot sometimes at these easier tracks. He's pretty fast.
Yeah, but we need the driver in play for him, and I don't like. I feel like that's negated a little bit at this course, at least from what I've read. So I mean,
I wouldn't.
We'll bring him in there. I'm not gonna. We'll bring him into the pool just to see what happens, but I don't want to go crazy. And then Nick Dunlap. What's up?
Maybe just cap his ownership at like 10% or something for Cam Davis.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could definitely do that. And then Nick, I really like what I saw from Dunlap too. So that's a great call from chat. I don't want to go crazy with them, but I definitely wouldn't mind a sprinkle. I love the idea of like, this is the thing when you think about Hovland and people might be playing him, like sign me up for Will Zalatoris all day with the cheap price tag too. And if I play Hovland up here, it means I'm making some big fades. Some guy, over some guys that I really want to be on. And I know I want to be on these 2 guys. So I would rather get way over on, and maybe this is like the donkey route, but I don't think so, on Will Zalatoris over like a Victor Hovland. So I like what we've done with this. Let's run it so that we can analyze it. We can look at the contest sims. I'm not going to run all. I do want to crank sim diversity way up. Let's get our settings going. Min salary, 49,500. We are going to look at. Let's just do like 25 builds. I'm just kind of curious. We're not going to do any crazy rules. Let's do. Yeah, we got that. Set. All right, let's build. All right, well, this is going. Let's get our winners right out of the way, Snyder. Who do you got winning, and then a long shot or semi-long shot that you like this week from a betting standpoint?
I'm just pulling it up here. I do think it's viable to play Scotty and Xander in the same lineup. I just plugged it in, and you can go Scotty, Xander, Pendrith, and then you got to play 3 guys in that low 6K range, but I definitely think it's viable this week to even play both of those guys in teams. But for my outright this week, I'm going to go with I think one of the top 2 guys is going to win, but those are too short of odds for me right there. So I'll go with a little bigger of odds. Let's go with Morikawa at 16-1. It's either Morikawa or Cantlay. They're both like 16-18. I think both of those guys have good winning upside for the price tag there. And like a longer shot is I look at Billy Horschel at 40-1. I think he's a guy that's been playing great golf. We've been on him the last few weeks, and he's popped in these playoffs at times. I think Billy Horschel at 40-1 is interesting down there.
Yeah, the ones I have are actually both fairly good odds. Wyndham Clark 25-1, I think is a great bet. The other one is, I mean, this is a long shot, but Will Zalatoris 60-1. If you want to sprinkle in a little bit there, he's just the guy. Maybe something clicks. He finds it. Maybe he gets the putter going. We know from a ball striking standpoint, he can hang with the best of them when he's in form. We like what he saw. What we saw last week. Maybe gets a hot putter again. We usually, and we both agree on this, we like him on a tougher track. We don't think that's going to be the case this week, but it's more about the 60-1 shot on him. So outside of that, I agree with you. I think Cantlay is the other good bet this week. I'm sure it will be a popular one. 18-1 on DraftKings. Yeah, right there with Hovland, and then Morikawa there as well. All right, let's get to our builds. All right, so we did 25 lineups, but I forgot we always do our top 5. And let's do this. Let me organize this real quick. So here's what I'm going to do.
Scotty and Xander.
What?
On that, it's locking both those, Scotty and Xander, like I kind of mentioned. That build was
kind of like that. So I'm going to do a couple of things. So right here, we're sorting by we need our uniques in there too. Let's go 3. That should get some of them down. So we're sorting by projected score. We haven't looked at the sims yet. We've run them. We'll look at them next. But this is just taking our bias, the projections that we adjusted, and it's elevating our highest projected lineup. So the top one right there, Scotty Scheffler, Xander, Nick Dunlap. Shout out to chat. Great call there. Bill Z, Eric Cole, Gracerman. It's maybe a little bit thin. Maybe you could consider making a rule one of Xander or Scotty. You have any thoughts on that rule? Like outside of just like jamming in both? I feel like it's a Xander or Scotty week versus both.
I wouldn't be surprised if they finish 1-2 though. If they finish 1-2 and Bill's inside the top 15 again, Eric Cole and Graceman top 20. That could be the path. I don't think many people are gonna play them both together either when they're hand building and such. Maybe the Sims and the optimizers may try and jam them in, but it kind of all comes down to what projections you're using too, and how
this one's interesting too. Like if you're just fully trying to jam in the 2 best players in the world right now, Xander and Scotty, we both love Pendrith and we love Will Zalatoris. Okay, so the only way to make this work with those 4. Yeah, Ekro and Cam Davis. I don't know. I've seen worse lineups. It might be a reach, but still, it's going to be somewhat unique because you're right. Like, how many people are actually going to build lineups that way? So, interesting debate. Instead of, maybe the more common path would be one of Scotty or Xander. You know what I mean? Maybe the more contrarian route is jamming in both. So I don't know. Obviously, when we sort by projected score, we're getting both of them. We gave them a healthy projection, so that makes sense. So let's look at the contest sims. We're looking at the flagship. We're sorting by risk adjusted. Obviously, it's going to kind of spread things out, diversify us just a little bit, and naturally your roster construction is going to look a little bit different. Now, I really like how this looks. Scotty, Wyndham Clark, Sung Jae, who I think is an interesting play, Will Zalatoris, Tom Hoagie, Eckroat. Let's see. What's your thoughts on some of these builds? My boy Benny on in there. I'm surprised. There you go, Snyder. We got a build right there for you. Maybe not Sung Jae. Maybe we got a little bit too aggressive on his projection, but we got Xander, your boy Colin Morikawa, Bill Z, Eric Cole, Gracerman. Not a bad lineup. And
I think that's the other team right there.
The other thing too that I like doing. Let's just say you're a 5 lineup builder. Still use SaberSim. Help to give you ideas, help to, mold your builds. But what you can do is say, all right, I love how this build looks, but I'm not really, a fan of Sung Jae, or I don't like him. Well, you can just take him out, and then you can, see right here in this range, who else could fit in there? Well, we could put our boy Wyndham in there. I like how that build looks, quite a bit. I think it's a pretty nice build right there. So a lot of different things that you can do with this. But do you have any thoughts on just roster construction, where we ended up? How's it going to compare to what you're doing this week, Snyder?
I think I like how the Sims have it here. I'm going to try and get 2 of those top 10, 2 guys from the 10K range in a lot of my builds this week, I think, just because I love the 6K range. I love the low 7K range, the Xander Colin, the Scotty Xander, the Scotty Colin, those type of builds. With some of the 6K guys in there, like Zalatoris, Cole, like in that 20 max or something, the little $3 20 max, I may lock Zalatoris, Cole, and Gracerman, and then just kind of spin the top and try and get the right combination up top. If those 3 guys finish up top, I'll have enough shots on goal with the studs to try and get those guys just right. But yeah, so I'm gonna be more starts and scrubs this week, I think, for sure.
I really like this build too. We got Pendrith. We love Pendrith.
Yeah.
We love Bill Z. We talked about that enough. Scotty, obviously. Then we got Cantlay, Harmon, and Eric Cole, which, I mean, I think this build right here is really, really strong if you like Cantlay. So, and again,
I guess we already have Pendrith in there, but yeah, I guess I was looking for a substitute for Harmon, but Harmon's fine.
Oh, you don't like Brian Harmon this week?
I'm just not that big on him.
Well, you know what we can do, Snyder? We take Mr. Brian Harmon out, see who we got left. You can fit Dunlap in there. I got to sort it by salary. Sepp, no. Keegan, no. We already got Will Z. So, I mean, who are you taking in this group over Brian Harmon? I don't think I can take anyone over it.
Yeah, I would probably I'd come down from Scotty to Xander and then give yourself another $1,000.
I also love doing this when I'm like trying to make decisions. So, how about that?
Adam Scott or something. Yeah, I think that's a strong team right there.
Super strong, super strong tournament build right there, in my opinion. Like like the Adam Scott call, in my opinion, like really interesting call. He was not on my radar at all, so I'm gonna have to play him just a little bit, just for my guy Snyder. But a lot of you're not gonna hate any of your builds coming in, or at least I'm not. There's a lot of really nice looking builds. My thing is I want to make sure I have Scotty Scheffler or Xander. That's my final thoughts. I want to make sure one of those two are in my lineups, along with Will Zalatoris. So, you have any final thoughts for us, Snyder?
No, just plug that team in. So if
you just plugged it in, or your final thoughts is plug that team in. That we brought up on the show.
Looking forward to this. I kind of like these events. I mean, they're kind of more gimmicky. I'm not going to play as big a volume, especially with football coming around. We got college football starting this weekend. NFL is right around the corner as well. So we'll have all the content up, though. The playbook will be up later tonight, the cash chart, all that, the core plays, and the showdown playbook will continue running full steam ahead for this event.
Yeah, and I believe we'll be doing one more show, likely just you and I. So it'll be a quicker show, just like tonight's, probably a little bit quicker. We're running through our builds. We're trying to find what we feel is the best build, or show build is what we call it. I believe next week, as long as they have the contest sims up and golf ready to go. I know that was part of the issue last week, but it should be Snyder and I again for you guys next week. And we have some awesome announcements coming up. College football package, NFL, our schedule for it, all is going to be releasing here very, very, very soon. We're all getting dialed, getting ready for obviously football season and NBA and everything. So a lot of content, a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes over here at Rump Your Sports. Fun week. The contests look really good. I think this is going to be a really fun tournament to watch. The course looks really cool. So best of luck, everyone. And as always, good luck and run Pier. From me and Snyder, I'm AP. Let's get it.